It is another Wednesday evening. That means it's Auburn Family Night where we get together and we talk about everything and anything in the Auburn experience. We're going to take your comments, your questions, and your calls coming up here right now. War Eagle Auburn family and War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you are watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time talking about being a part of the Auburn family and being a part of our little E2C Network family as well. Ooh, almost choked up there a little bit. It just moves me so much that it chokes me up. As is the case with every single Wednesday night, we are just here to talk about anything that you want to discuss. This is my favorite night of the week because you guys dictate the show with your calls when we open up the phone lines a little bit, but obviously a lot of your questions and comments. A couple things that you can do for us to get things started off on a really good note tonight. If you are watching live, this is especially helpful, but you can do this on the replay too. If you think we've earned it, smash that like button. It is a huge help. It's a very simple thing to do. It's free to help grow the podcast, the YouTube channel. Smash the like button. And we'd like for you to check in with us too in the chat to let us know that you're here. Post where you're watching from, your city, your state. If you're international, you can do that too. We get people all the time calling in from everywhere. So that is how you can get our show started tonight. And we'll open up the phone lines in just a little bit for those that want to take advantage of it and talk about the topics that you want to discuss. I'll set the table for us, is my favorite phrase to start off every show, it seems like. Obviously, I know everyone is still focused on fall practice and what's been transpiring or not been transpiring during that time. Obviously, there's a lot of storylines that everybody's paying attention to there, whether it's the quarterback race, some updates on the Jarquez Hunter situation. We're getting some more interviews and such from players and assistant coaches, so it's giving us a little bit more of a perspective of what's going on. We are going to be rolling tumors again. Auburn basketballs, the men's basketball team is getting a lot of schedule updates. The women's basketball teams in Europe. Soccer is literally playing right now in their first exhibition game. Folks, we have arrived. College sports is back. Technically, it doesn't start in some sense of the word until the official games are played, and soccer will be that first one, I'm sure. But we're talking about college sports right now, folks. We made it through the summer. It's basically here right now. We're living in it at this moment. So all of that's on the table. We can discuss anything that you would love to talk about tonight. Got some familiar faces saying hello already. We got Noah here, Devin here. Thanks for checking in. We get college football this month. He's checking in from Texas. And my couch, to be exact, not the kitchen. Very, very important note there for Devin. For those of you that have been here for a while, you'll understand the importance from the significance behind that odd statement there. Obviously, I've said this a kind of cryptically a lot. If you are what was known as the Booster Club, may have changed names recently. There's some updates there. You need to be checking that for some things that have happened. I will also say this is another reminder. If you are a channel member, you also need to be checking your perks section for things that you could be having access to. More updates coming on that officially later. But we've kind of sent some signals out there that you might want to take advantage of if you're a channel member, because I see a few of you in the chat already that would love for you to take part in and be a part of. All right, we can open up the phone lines if you'd like to call in now. So do that. It's always brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. We appreciate them and Miss Tanya for the great work they do in providing a place to stay for Auburn family members when they're able to come to town. But she's one of the best Auburn people I know, and she will not just give you a place to sleep at night, but make sure that you're going to have the best Auburn experience while you're staying with them, close to all of the big stuff, the big athletic venues within 0.5 miles. I mean, that's a 5 to 10 minute, how fast you walking distance downtown, same thing. Check her out. Check all things Auburn out. I don't know why I brought that down. All right, let's hit some of the comments and questions that you guys are already popping in right now. He said, we look so much bigger and now look like grown men. Kudos to the guys buying in and focusing on bettering themselves. So I won't disagree with you on this, Big Simp, but I'm always interested to know how are we judging that they look bigger? I know that there was an article released recently about updated weights and things like that. And here's an interesting thing too. I wouldn't say there had been so much of a difference from a Brian Harsin system of doing things and style of offense and defense versus to a Hugh Freeze, but I could definitely see like a difference in a Gus Malzahn type of what type of shape he wants them to be in for the style of offense they run, maybe a little bit leaner, a little bit quicker, things like that. So you would probably see that a little bit more in the transition. So I'm curious, Big Simp, if you got some like specific things that you're seeing that stick out to you, or just kind of a general, they just look bigger to me, which is perfectly valid too. But either way, love the energy that's coming from, they've been talking about Dominic, I think his name is like Studemeister, Studinsky, Dominic Studinsky, or Dom, I think he just goes by as the strength and conditioning coach, and he has been putting in work. It seems like they seem to really love that guy. We'll take a few more comments and questions here, then we'll start answering some phone calls that are coming in. Let's see. Just got back from Sweden. Saw Will Ferrell, met his family at a car rental in Stockholm. Big USC fans. They were relieved to hear we were Auburn fans when we told them we were from Alabama. That's really cool. That's really cool. Neil checking in from work. Thomas checking in as well. Good to see you guys. If you had a second channel, you got to name it Into-Y Network. Into-Y. Is it? I'm scared, actually. What is that alluding to? Help me understand what that is, Lucia. We do have a second channel, if you guys didn't know that. It's called the Auburn Podcast by E2C Network. There's a video there, but it's just like an ever-changing backdrop. It's basically the podcast, the audio form on YouTube. So if you want any of the podcast and just that format, want to get them all, you can get them all on YouTube. So it's actually, if you go to the bottom of our homepage on YouTube, it should be linked there. So we do have a second channel. We just don't promote it all that much. All right. Never to yield. Thank you. Thank you, Devin. I can always rely on you. Went right over my head. Lucio's probably like, come on, Kyle, you're better than that. Yes. We almost did make our podcast network when we first started it in 2014, Never to Yield, but there was the Never to Yield Foundation at that time. I don't know that it exists or operates anymore. But yeah, there you go. All right, I'll come back to some of those comments and questions that you guys posed here, so just hang tight if there's something you really want me to hit. But let's go ahead and say hello. We always got to start off with our optimism. There he is, cowboy hat and all. Kevin Kelly, what's going on, sir?
War Eagle, Cal.
War Eagle, I love the hat, buddy. You bring us good stuff every week.
Hey, finally, Jarquez Hunter was at practice.
I know. I know you were relieved, were you not?
Yeah, I bet you Freeze will let him at the fan day.
I think if he's at practice, he'll be at fan day. Yeah. I think he'll definitely make an appearance. Of course, we don't know what the stipulations are for what's going on with that situation. Maybe it's part of whatever's going on that he can't appear. But if he's out there practicing, he's going to participate in all other team events.
He did good today in practice, I heard.
You heard? I was gonna say, were you there? I heard that as well. There were some beat writers talking about what they could see, how he was moving and stuff. But the big thing was, I think it was Tate Johnson, the offensive guard center, who said that when they went live at the end of the game, at the end of the practice, he made some people look silly. So that was really encouraging to hear. Was it? I mean, at least for me, it was.
Yeah, I thought Robbie Ashford did good too.
Yeah, he seems to be making some noise. So it's always interesting to hear everybody's perspectives, because obviously I talk to you all here on E2C Network, but I also talk to people just out and about. And, there's one person that's convinced that Robbie's going to be the starter. There's another that's the conventional wisdom is Peyton. And there's others that think it's going to be Holden. So you hear differing narratives come out from everywhere. It's kind of hard to grasp what's going on.
Holding Brenner, freshman?
No, He's a red shirt freshman.
A red shirt.
Yeah, he would be a red shirt. I should actually have the roster pulled up and confirm that, but he did not play in the over the limit required for that. So I would imagine he is listed as a redshirt freshman.
How's our wide receiver looking?
Well, I haven't been to practice. So unfortunately, with me not living in town, I don't get to attend the media sessions like I would like to. So I haven't gotten a good look at him. It is redshirt freshman, by the way. I just confirmed that for you. But from all indications, it seems like there's at least some good connections being built amongst multiple quarterbacks and wide receivers. Malcolm Johnson, we got to see an interview of him. He seems or expressed that he seems to be healthy now. So that's another arsenal, another addition to the weaponry that is the wide receiver room. So I feel good about it.
How about our defense backs?
What do you want to know about them? Anybody in particular? Anything in particular?
DJ James.
Yeah, he got interviewed as well. One of the leaders. I'm curious to see if he's going to have himself a monster year and end up making it to the pros.
Is Jason Jones still there?
Yeah, I got to stop pulling the roster down for you. He should still be here. I don't have any reason to think that he's not going to be here. Let me see, buddy. I'll pull them up for you here. Let me go alphabetical order. That'll be a little bit easier. And that way we can find them when you actually ask me about them. What else you got?
How about Nehemiah Pritchett?
What about him? What do you want to know about him?
Is he healthy?
Coach Freeze said at his opening press conference last week that other than, and I forget the individual he named, if he did name him. Yeah, he said that everybody was healthy. It was just little minor things. Now, after you've gone live at fall practice, that could be different. So for all intents and purposes, everybody seems to be healthy right now, as far as we know, and they'll probably update us if something ever happens.
I can't wait. Saturday, I'll be down there, hopefully.
I have plans to be down there as well, too, so maybe we can say hello to each other finally. If not, we'll make it happen during football season, sir.
I bet all the how many quarterbacks we got?
Total? That'll take too long to search through. I know of 4 scholarship guys: Holden, Robbie, Peyton. Well, I guess maybe Sawyer Pate holds a scholarship now too.
Yeah, I hope I get autographs with all 4 of them.
Well, you got to do it more than that. You got to go get Sawyer Pate. You need to go get who's the other one that I'm blanking on? There's another one that I'm blanking on that I should know off the top of my head.
I need to get Demario Alston's.
Yeah, I would definitely. Some of these young guys that might be superstars after this year,
and
you may want to go ahead and get some of those guys. Jeremiah Cobb too. That would be a smart one to get too. All right, so let's do this. Give me who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback by the end of fall practice? I'm going to ask you this every week until we get
right now. I think Robbie Ashford.
All right. Well, that is a official prediction from Mr. Kevin. We'll continue to hold you to it every week. So next week, call back in and we'll ask you the exact same thing.
Okay.
It's always good to talk to you, buddy. Cowboy hat and all.
War Eagle.
War Eagle, Kevin.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was Kevin. Thank you guys so much for calling in and taking advantage of the phone lines. You can too. It's up at the top of the top of the YouTube chat. I don't think I have it posted everywhere. So if you are watching on Facebook, if you're watching on some other format out there, you'll have to come on over to YouTube to access that link. You can be on camera or off camera, either one. Will I sing the fight song if we hit 4K? I'll sing the fight song regardless. We're going to hit 4K here in probably before the season starts. We did kind of hit like this past year, and I've said this a lot, I think, in some version. Most content creators, even the big ones, will probably say that there was a drop off in interest and consuming of content related to Auburn over the last year and a half. From the spring on, it's been a little bit better, obviously, since Hugh's really gotten geared up here. But we had hoped we'd be at 5,000. That was our original goal by the time we hit the season. Not going to do that. but we are very excited to hit 4,000. So if you have a friend out there who is not a member or a follower here on YouTube, encourage them to do so to help us reach that goal. It'd be a huge thing to be able to reach very soon. I think we're within like 18 or so right now. And yeah, very excited about hitting that goal. College football NCAA officially back for summer of 2024. 2024, you talking about the game? Is that official? Because to me, I felt like there were some more hurdles they talked about that came up. I think I've convinced myself I'm never going to see it again, Big Simp. So I can cope with the loss that is having an updated like I used to wait for, I didn't camp out, but like I would be there the day of, pre-order my NCAA game and get online immediately. And if it comes through summer of 2024, you can be sure that I will do that too. We might even do something like a, I don't know, maybe for members of the channel, members of the booster, what was once called the Booster Club. We might do like a playing league or something like that. I'm always trying to think of little fun things for you guys that are able to help us on the financial end a little bit. All right, let me go back through, look at some of these comments and questions. We'll come back through a few of those too. Kyle, have you looked at Coach Freeze's overall coaching win-loss record? It's pretty impressive, minus the 33 games vacated at Ole Miss. Well, I think like the vacated wins, they still happened, right? Like they don't count towards anything, but they still happened. That was still coaching. And I think you have to count those. I haven't sat down to answer your question, looked at it, but I know his resume backs up being here. I think when we were all asking the question again in 2 years, who should be the coach at Auburn, you were looking at someone with a proven record, but a proven record also in the SEC, who could recruit, who kind of fit the culture at Auburn. And I think they got that in Hugh Freeze. All signs seem to be reporting that way right now. Okay, let me keep going here. I don't want to get too far behind. You only need 2 people to get to 4K? Really? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure about that? You sure about that? Let me pull something up here. I'm going to kill my internet here. Unless, I will say this, guys, sometimes the counts are a little bit different for me. So if you guys ever see me not respond to, like, usually when we hit a milestone, I will make a big announcement about it. But sometimes the counts are a little bit different for me because reasons. So you had me all excited there for a second, but we're 18 away is what I see. Finally learned the fight song last year when we went to the Missouri game. Now both my boys know it. Didn't I teach you to it, Devin? Didn't I? Didn't we like sing it together at the parade? I know not just me, but I felt like we did. They say Thorne won't even let Freeze sleep, studying and watching so much film, absorbing the offense. He will be the guy. I think it's the smart bet if you're a betting person. I think it makes the most sense overall. But the way I was discussing this last night with someone, when you look at these 3 guys, Holden, and no offense to Hank Brown, but even coaches kind of said that he's not that much into the equation just because he's young. But if you look at Peyton, the strength really is his experience and proven experience. Robbie, while he does have experience in the SEC, his athleticism is his strongest point. What it sounds like to me from Holden, even though we haven't been able to see the full picture from him yet, it sounds like he is the most well-rounded. He has kind of the best of both of those worlds. And I'm not saying that means he's the best option, but he's kind of like I get a little bit of both. That was my interpretation. That's not an official statement from anywhere. But to me, I think right now, given even those strengths for those individuals, it's hard to knock that much Power 5 experience in Peyton Thorne, who apparently can move a little bit too. Yes, we hit 1 million views about, think that was about a month and a half ago, maybe. Yeah. Yes, that was a big milestone. I think we put out something about that. Neil says that Ashford will not be the starter. I wouldn't say he won't. Is he? I think what the language we need to be using, who is most likely to be. I think Ashford is less likely than Peyton Thorne right now, but it's not by much. It's not by much. I'm looking at 3.98 subs. Well, they are, I mean, I'm glad they're showing y'all that amount. Sometimes what it is, I know that some of this is boring to y'all, but since y'all are bringing it up, this is what happens here. A lot of the times we don't see the actual number because they're verifying that somebody didn't make a fake account and just to get our numbers up. So if you're doing that, please don't because it only hurts us. But although I know where your heart is for those of you, I know some have done it. I know your heart's in the right place, but in the grand scheme of things, it does hurt us. So what you may be seeing is the actual count unverified. So maybe when those get verified, it'll actually show me. But right now I see that we're 18 away, but I'm glad that it shows 3.98. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized, Neil, it's showing you the abbreviated version, 3.98K, and it's actually 3,982. Like they don't do that last part. That's why it looks closer than it actually is. I just figured it out. Anyway, Mr. Manville, thank you so much for your kind support, sir. By the way, I know you're busy. Make sure you get in on that thing that we talked about in the Booster Club. I want to make sure you're in on the communication. Love to see you over there. Andrew asking the big question that everybody's asking. Do you think Jarquez Hunter plays the first game or misses it and plays against Cal? Let me answer the question and add something onto it. My gut still says he's not playing the first game just because I anticipated him not missing any practice. That's got me not worried, but just curious if there's more punishment to come. And to me, going to California is a privilege for like traveling, doing something cool. So to me, I wonder if at this point he wouldn't also miss that game as not part of the travel team. I don't look, this is pure speculation, and maybe that's me trying to protect myself from the blow of that happening. But to me, I was surprised that he was not, that he missed some practice. Happy that he's back out there. But I almost wonder now, are we going to see multiple games as opposed to a single game? It's probably just going to be a game if it's anything more, but I think I'm preparing myself for that. Your math does not suck, Neil. It is very confusing the way it shows for viewers versus the creator side of things. That's the only reason I knew that was correct, but I was hopeful. You got me excited that maybe we were closer than I thought we were. All good, though. All good. Devontae Ross, you think Michael Orr should visit Coach Freeze at Auburn, even though he played at Ole Miss and played high school football under Coach Freeze? Yeah, I mean, former players for coaches still come visit no matter where they are. It happens a lot. That would be really cool. It's one of those unique things that I was talking with my wife when Hugh Freeze was first hired, and the blind side was on, and I said, you see that coach right there? It's not, they've changed the name. That's your new head coach that's the character. And it blew her mind that that's all connected and stuff like that. So, yeah, it'd be cool to have Michael Orr come. I'd love to actually meet Michael Orr because I love that story. And I know the story, as most sports movies are, a little embellished. Things changed a little bit, but it's still, the message behind it is a good one. Let's see here. Okay, we'll come back to some comments and questions. I know I'm getting super. Oh, Joe Rudolph back as a member. Great, sir. Nice to see you back in there. I want to give you a shout out because it's giving me the notification on there. All right, we'll come back to some comments and questions So stick around if you ask something and we haven't gotten to it yet, but we definitely want to make sure we get our callers when they come in. We'll bring him on now if he's ready. I hope he is. Mr. Gregorio, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Kyle?
Nothing much, sir. Just hanging out with you guys today. What's up?
Nothing. I just wanted to call in and talk about fall. Fall
Yeah.
practice. How things have been, man. It's crazy. I've been hearing a lot of good things about Holden.
Yeah, no, isn't it exciting to hear that, like, it's not just a two-man race, that we've got somebody else that you should be considering legitimately in this race? I mean, to me, that gets me excited.
Oh yeah, me too. And I feel like, including myself, everybody had written Holden off. A lot of people even expected him to, if he didn't play any this year, maybe transfer next year.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton is.
Yeah.
I think he could be a serious contender to win the starting job next season if he doesn't this season.
Yeah. I think you're probably going to see one of those three leave, whether that's Peyton has a good year and leaves after this point, or in fact, I would guarantee someone leaves after this season. You don't really see three people who have the potential of starting stick around on the same team. The last time you saw that was like Ohio State, not forgetting all three of their names, but it was like crazy. They had three legitimate starters and they all went somewhere else. So yes, after the season, somebody's leaving, whether it's just Peyton graduating, someone transferring out. But, I think even if, what happens, we all expect to happen right now, Peyton Thorne wins this job. Robbie and Holden have got to be ready, and they know that. They understand that because Peyton's had some injury issues. Same thing if it's reversed. Robbie's out there had some injury issues. Holden is literally, if he doesn't win this job, a play away from being the starting quarterback, and I'm excited to hear some positive things about him.
Oh yeah, me too. Because I know it's only they haven't scrimmaged or nothing yet. I think they just put pads on, but I think he throws the best ball.
That one they shared on social media was pretty sweet, wasn't it? I'm assuming you saw that one.
Oh yeah, I did. I've been everything I can, but he's got a great arm.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely, he came in with a lot of talent, a lot of promise, and that seems to be getting better here, which is what you hope, right? The big buzzword's always development, and even in a transition, seems to be developing quite nicely into a very promising quarterback. I just hope that, as you kind of alluded to, it's here with us as opposed to down the line. And let's not forget our boy Walker White, who is not here yet, but boy, is he one heck of a recruiter for this 2024 class. He's going to be in the mix after this year as long as he signs, which I don't, if Walker White doesn't sign at this point, it will be the craziest thing ever because he's like been the best recruiter for us. But we are very much set up in a very good way at quarterback for a while. Plenty of talent and guys coming into the mix that can all be molded and developed and shaped into what we need them to be under this new offense.
Yeah, that's true. And even having Hank Brown on the team.
Yep. Let's not forget him.
Hank Brown, he's a big boy.
Yep. Definitely. I don't just ever dismiss him from the equation. I just go off of mainly what the coaches say. And, Hugh at SEC Media Days was very frank about his place on the team currently. Now, what happens in a year, with 1 year of college training and just preparation, getting used to what that means as a player under his belt, the sky's the limit for anybody. We could see anything happen. A lot of people, wrote off Sean White, if you remember that name, at quarterback for a while, and then he just came into camp and won the job. Granted, I think some people would say the competition wasn't as stiff during that, but I will reiterate what I already said. We are very blessed with a lot of talent currently at quarterback and in the future.
Yep. And not just that, but the main reason I wanted to call was to not talk about quarterbacks, but wide receivers.
Yep.
Remember after spring, there was a bunch of Twitter buzz about one of the ESPN women that worked for him talking about how Auburn needs to be patient with their wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just looking at him, and I've watched videos that Zach Blackerby's talked about, and all kinds of stuff about how some of the transfer wide receivers we got, like Jair Shorter, people said he looks like he belonged in SEC, like he belongs in SEC, and Shane Hooks, and I mean Rivaldo Fairweather. I think he's going to be ridiculously good this year.
Yeah, I think these new guys are obviously what everybody is excited to see, and I'm super excited about them. And it's nice to see some taller, wider wingspan options, which is what you talk about the look of, is what you were just mentioning. But I'm also really excited for some of these guys that have been here, and I think personally a lot of what was missing from the wide receiver core was some of those bigger targets. We've had like a Camden Brown, a Landon King here before, but we all, there were bigger issues than just having bigger bodies out there with the previous offense. But having those guys out there, they draw attention, and they let some of these maybe quote unquote smaller guys, more athletic guys, and in the kind of shiftiness of once you get the ball in their hands, free up a little bit, get some attention off of them, and then they can kind of go to work too. So I really like our wide receiver cores from what we know about them currently. Obviously a few games in, we'll know just how good they could be.
Yeah, even when they start scrimmaging, if they're scrimmaging and the wide receivers are having, great catches and stuff, that makes me feel good, because I think Auburn has one of the best DB rooms in SEC. Top opinion. So if they're Auburn's DBs, I mean, they could play like that in any game.
Yeah, this is a stout DB room. It's very across the board. We've had not to dismiss the rest of the DB group that was there with Roger McCreary, but I think he was far and away the star. And I would say the star here tends to be Nehemiah, maybe DJ James here, but that just kind of across the board, whether it's Keontae Scott, Zion Puckett, and multiple others, you just got a plethora of guys there that are all capable of being superstars, and it just feels like a really solid group.
Yeah, and they're not. It's not going to change. I mean, look at the recruiting class we got right now.
I know. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. So here, question on that front. Who's the one guy from the recruiting class right now, if you can, you may not be able to think of them off your top of your head, but if you can, that you think finds the quickest playing time at defensive back? Is there a guy that sticks out to you? I am putting you on the spot, so I understand if you can't think of their names.
I think I can give you two, maybe.
Okay.
The first one, I think Kinsley Faustin.
Faustin at safety, yep.
Just because cornerbacks, Auburn's loaded. Safeties, I mean, he could come in and start right away, because I think he's very good.
Yeah.
I mean, under Crime Dog and Etheridge, if they're here next season, that's two of the best, not just recruiters, but developers also of the DB. And also in the new class, I seen Kay Lee right there.
Yeah, that's it.
He's going to play this season, though. He's probably going to be the number 3 cornerback. But I think another one would probably be, I like Amon Lane. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. He feels like an Auburn guy to me.
He's been locked in for a while, so I'd love to see that kind of be rewarded. You talk about him. I guess he was the only one left because there were only 2. Adrian Passe was the other guy, and him when the switch happened for the 2024 year for coaching wise. So I value guys, especially kind of thinking about the 2023 class, Braden Joyner, who stuck around during all of that mess and kind of held that class together in some sense. So I'd love to see it Amon Lane get rewarded. But regardless of whether we're talking transfers that may be coming in this year, high school recruits, you got a deep DB room to work through, and it'll be a challenge, but iron sharpens iron. So that'll be something definitely to watch. To wrap up, I'm going to ask you what I asked Kevin. Give me your prediction for quarterback. Obviously, we can talk about it again next week, but right now, what do you feel?
Last week when you asked me, I told you Peyton Thorne. I still think it's Peyton Thorne. Barely. I mean, it's a 50-50 ball. Fair. I mean, it could be – I could feel like it's Peyton Thorne tonight. When I wake up in the morning, I could think it's Holden or Robbie. I mean, I don't even know if Hugh Freeze knows right now, which he doesn't. He doesn't know.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No, I'm fine with that line of thinking. I think definitely things have tightened, maybe more than some were willing to admit they thought it would. I'm just happy that it's not just a tightening of 2 guys, but it's a tightening of 3 guys right now that are really pushing each other to find out who's going to be the starter in this. And as Hugh Freeze said, yeah, we'll have a starting quarterback, That doesn't mean that like it's like set after game 1, 2, whatever, because you got to go out there and perform on the field like you did when you won the job in practice as well. So I'm gonna hold you to it for now. We'll see if anything happens, anything gets confirmed, and if not, we'll reconvene next week if you're able to call in and ask you again.
But yeah, then my answer might be different. We'll see. We got another week of practice, so
we do. Hey, buddy, thank you for calling in. Always good to see you.
Rico call.
War Eagle. Always great to see you guys that call in every week. Don't be shy if you are a new person. As you can see, I'm not that mean. Very easy to call in. Hit the top link on YouTube. You don't have to be on camera. You can be off camera. Would love to talk to some of you guys in person. But in the meantime, we will go back through some of your questions. I'm probably not going to be able to hit all of them because we are way behind. But with good reason, because you guys are being so awesome tonight. Excited about the receivers, especially Nick Martin, 6'6". Yeah, that's a big thing. Aaron Rodgers or Holden equals Aaron Rodgers. It's lofty comparison, you know. As it relates to quarterback, I just hope the fans still support the team. If Robbie is the starter, sometimes it just appears people have counted him out, totally out. Yeah, well, people who are counting any of these guys out in any fashion are not being smart. It's fine to say, like, I will tell you, I think if you're a betting person, I'm not advocating for betting, bet on Peyton Thorne. But it ain't by much, as Gregorio just talked about. He talked about how much his prediction is tightened up in a week. So it's not close. I mean, it is close. It's not close enough time to be naming a starter. If Holden's the starter, how surprising will it be? I think it would definitely be surprising, you know. Oops, excuse me. I just realized that Pro Girl got in there in the microphone. I hope that didn't sound too gross. Any videos on today's practice intel? Today was not a practice, I believe. Let me look. I have the schedule. Today was not a practice. So I know that was earlier when you asked that, but there are no videos from the day. And to give you a little context about me personally and what we do here at E2C Network, I actually don't live in Auburn. Hope to one day have a home studio there. But I don't get to make it to the open practices all that much because of where I live. But hopefully I will get to at least one or something like that at some point. I think Jarquez has to sit 2, maybe 3 games, unfortunately, but I hope I'm wrong. See, Thomas, I kind of think the way you do about this, to me, the point of a punishment is to make them feel the repercussions of it. As much of a reward and fun thing it is to run out there on opening night in what could be your final season if he has a great year, it's still UMass. It's cool, even though you're probably favored to win out in California, to go out there. That is more of a punishment in a sense. So to me, that makes the most sense. This is not any information. Like, I don't have any inside information of what happened, what the actual punishments were or were not, and who was involved. But to me, what I can logically get to, 2 games to me makes a lot of sense. I'm not advocating for it. I'm advocating for, if the thing has been addressed and been atoned for, get that boy out there. But I also don't want him to not learn from this, if that's what happened. No, I will be up in the upper deck. At least that's where my tickets are. I don't typically reveal where I am exactly, you know. But, I'll be up in the upper deck close to the scoreboard. But if you're wanting to say hello and come say hi, the best place is always Tiger Walk, right at the very beginning. You see a guy with a camera phone up. Obviously, I'll be a little busy then, but I'm always open to talk and hang out before and after Tiger Walk a little bit. Maybe not the first game. The first game I'll have to rush over and do the live stream for the Four Corners pep rally, but always that's where I say let's meet up. Yes, I gave you a shout out earlier for becoming that. I'm glad you're back in, Joe. Thanks so much for being here, hanging out with us. Looking forward to rolling the Oaks when we beat Georgia. Welcome back, toilet paper. Is everybody just like excited about this? I mean, isn't it the best? That news came through. Yesterday was a busy news day. And in fact, it's been interesting how busy this week has been, busyness-wise, just with little news to schedule. We haven't even had time to talk about basketball schedule updates. We can talk about it if y'all are interested. But it's been busy, man. And I'm hoping what typically happens is that third week of fall practice, it's kind of dead in a lull because they're going into school as well. We can all chill out a little bit and just get ready for those 2-week build up to the first game. Let's see here. Holden's the best quarterback, just no experience. Maybe. We shall see. Good question, Joe. What do you think of the blue pants? Fine for practice. That's about it. So I'll give you a heads up. Normally I give this heads up to our certain tier of our booster club, but we will have a video. We had a video out today with Clint Richardson talking about Toomer's Oaks being back for rolling this year. It's kind of his area of expertise, just history and Auburn aesthetic stuff. We also had him on again, and it'll air tomorrow, talking about the Under Armour deal, and we talked about the blue pants too. So stick around tomorrow afternoon. Usually try to put those videos around 5 if I'm on schedule. Mr. Corey Benson in the house. Corey, by the way, Corey, if you hadn't visited the Booster Club, need to. There's some stuff over there for you, sir. I'm dropping as many hits to a lot of you regulars over there as I can. Do you think it's a coincidence Saban bought his retirement home now that we hired Hugh Freeze? That's a coincidence. The man had what, like 6 years left on his contract. That has nothing to do with Hugh. It would have happened this year if it had been Jeff Grimes, if it had been Lane Kiffin. But I think it also would be ignorant to dismiss that he's seen the tide turning a little bit in college football in a less favorable situation for himself. Is Auburn part of that equation? Sure. But yeah, that's just a coincidence. Hard to do a projected starter till it gets down to 2. Yeah, that's been the difficult thing for me. I was even kind of doing some game planning for content last night, and I know I've promised you guys I'd do like a percentage confidence video about who's going to be the starter at quarterback. The problem is it's hard to know when to do that because if you have 3 quarterbacks, it makes it for a more interesting video. But for a while there, we didn't think it was going to be Holden was going to be part of that equation as much. Now he is. And so now I kind of want to put that video out. But then we know that by the first scrimmage, it's supposed to be narrowed down to 2. At least that's the goal. So it's not landing the way I want it to. Oh, yep. Jalewis Solomon. It's a good one too. Let's see here. Hope Saban stays and Hugh can own him. That'd be nice. That would definitely be nice, wouldn't it? From what I heard, Hunter's first day back was full of running. Definitely isn't his only punishment, but our running back room is pretty good. So if he misses a game, we'll be fine. The first game will be fine. Obviously, I wouldn't dismiss that Cal game, but I'll just say my favorite phrase. We'll just wait and see what happens. A&M ranked 25 has me breathing fire. Yeah, they get the top recruits, but they don't do anything with them. Didn't know they rank trash cans. Don't hold back, Corey. Yeah, look, you could understand why they get ranked, right? The talent alone kind of proves that they have the potential to be pretty deadly. But Jimbo's just Jimboing right now. So I think you're actually seeing a reflection of people losing faith in Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher by being ranked 25th with that amount of talent. Let's see here. James asks, to be fair, as it relates to Hunter, do any of us know the facts? How do we know if he deserves any punishment, and if he indeed did something? Sorry, I've changed the font a little bit so it's smaller because it looks better on the screen, but it's harder for me to read on my, because I don't care. Anyway, shut up, Kyle. If he indeed did something, then of course he should be punished. Just saying. Yeah, and I try to kind of walk that line if I can when I'm talking about it. I hope that comes across. Uh, let me just say this. I can pretty much confirm something happened. What was intended, what was worthy of being punishment, no one is privy to other than allegedly Jarquez, which when we say allegedly, we know he's been out, so we kind of know he's involved, and whoever else. No one knows the facts except Jarquez, the other parties involved, and the Auburn University and athletic staff are privy to. And that's it. We're all just speculating at that point. And as long as we are openly saying we are speculating, there's nothing wrong with discussing it. But yeah, we don't know the facts. If there's something that deserves to be punished, it should be. But also selfishly hope that the punishment is done and he's learned his lesson. And we're out there running around being crazy with Jarquez again. Will the orange and white face mask be used more this year? John, great question. I had Clint on last night. Had I known you wanted this information, I would have asked him, Mr. Auburn Uniform Database. I think when I've talked to him in previous live streams, we may have touched on this. I think he said that it wouldn't surprise him to see one of them broken out this year since you have it, right? Like, why have the item and not use it? It's kind of like everybody says that the orange jerseys still exist and they're back there somewhere. It's not there. So yeah, I think obviously they'll use it at some point this season. I don't think it'll be as big a deal as it was last year because that was one of the few things we had to get excited about. Wow, what a time. What a time. Let's see. Auburn got rules. It's not a punishment for breaking the law. No law was broken. Look, yeah, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of that issue because we kind of get into some non-family friendly territory there. But at the same time, no one knows the situation here. Here's what I will say about the situation. If he was involved, poor judgment was all the way around from what we can tell, all parties involved. Young people making young people decisions. I was once one of them too. You can look at my hairline. You won't believe that, but it was not too long ago that I was in college and we all make stupid decisions. So that is not an excuse, but I think we all can be givers of grace, but giving grace doesn't also mean that you dismiss what happened too. So there's a fine line you've got to walk there with these situations and want everything to be done right on all sides of the equation. Hearing Kiffin balk about Pac-12 teams leaving for more money was comical. I didn't see his commentary on that. Fill me in a little bit more. No, I've seen your question about the member. Unfortunately, buddy, I don't know a way to let you know this, but I don't think you're eligible for that. It is there's an age thing to it. So sorry, but I think there's an age thing for it. But we're thankful that you're here hanging out with us. Let's see here. How do you feel about the blue helmets with an orange face mask? How do I feel about blue helmets with orange face mask? I know it isn't very traditional. I don't hate some created versions of the blue helmets. I just think we have the best possible helmet that you can have. I mean, it is just clean looking. It's got, just the right amount of color splashed everywhere. I am a traditionalist when it comes to uniform stuff, and I am just going to always say and lean on the fact that I want it to stay this as much the same as it can be. White face mask, though, I gotta admit that those look pretty tight. With when we go full stormtrooper, that was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. To get back to answer your question, if they were gonna do blue helmets, I'd want it to be the orange face mask thing feels too much, but I'd have to see it. Not some creator generated image, but an actual real life helmet. I bet Clint has got some stuff like that. All right. What haven't we hit yet that you guys want to hit? I finally mostly caught up here on comments and questions. But let me put some other things out there for you guys, and we could bounce back to football if you'd like to. Hope you all saw that basketball added some interesting matchups. Well, one added, and then some clarifications on the others. They will be playing UNC Asheville, which is usually a very not difficult, I wouldn't say, but formidable for a lower conference opponent in men's basketball. We'll be playing them in Huntsville. So if you're in Huntsville, it's a good chance to go see a Bruce Pearl team for probably your best price options, because everything else closer to Auburn is usually bought out. So I would say go there. It was a release today that they will be playing in the Legends Classic, and there it is, Big Simp. I knew somebody would want to talk about that. Auburn versus Notre Dame. That's going to be cool in basketball, frankly, but in Barclays Center in New York, that's going to be fun, folks. It is going to be a fun basketball. We've got the Maui Invitational. We're about to play Notre Dame in the opening rounds, and we'll probably end up, if we beat Notre Dame, we'd probably play Oklahoma State, good Big 12 opponent. That's going to be good. Listen, it's going to be a fun basketball season, no matter how it goes. Just we've got some great games. Just saddle up, folks. Helmets are nearly perfect. Yeah. Think we should have a special uniform for the Iron Bowl. I don't know if I can get on board for that, because that is such a tradition game. I like that our cheerleaders come out in the what I don't know what you call them, the rugby shirts. Those are really cool. So they can have their special uniform thing. You could make the case maybe if Auburn came out in the rugby striped uniforms or something like that, that'd be cool. To me, I want Auburn and Alabama in their traditional get-ups, no fluff. The Iron Bowl, to me, this is just my opinion, Corey, doesn't need any of that. It is the greatest college football rivalry. It is the greatest football rivalry. Very few other rivalries can make a case to be in that equation. And I will argue it is the greatest rivalry in sports. Just going to say. I'm from North Alabama. I'm a North Alabama resident, so I'm right down the road from Huntsville. Very excited to go watch the Tigers play b-ball for the first time. For the first time ever, Gregorio? For the first time ever? Or just for the first time in a while? If it's the first time in forever, you're in for a treat. I hear that Von Braun Center is really fun to go to events in. I have in-laws that live not too far away from Huntsville. I'm very tempted to see if it works out with my schedule to go take a visit there and, conveniently drive over to Huntsville. But it'll be fun. It'll definitely be fun to see them play in that environment. Huntsville people, like when we're talking about baseball, especially, they show out when Auburn stuff comes to town. There's a reason they're big fan events they do every beginning of the summer. They call them not Tiger Prowl, not Big Cat. Is it? I forget the name of it, but basically kind of donor generated stuff. There's a reason they do up to Huntsville. There's a lot of Auburn people up there, a lot of engineering, because it's a very space, military, engineering heavy part of the country. My area that I live in, the general area, is got a lot of Auburn contingencies up here. All right, we're at 55 minutes on the dot right now and on my counter. Would love to know what topics we haven't hit yet that you'd like to discuss. Usually I get out of here about within the hour, but we're having some good conversations, so I might hang around a little bit, but let me go ahead and cover this part of the show. So for those of you that know the drill, just hang on for a second, but please, if you can, pay attention to some of the things that we want to make you known about. Very first thing, we got a bunch of people watching right now. What I'd love for you to do, if you can stay to the end, and it'll take you right over here on YouTube to the next watch page. You can go ahead and hit the like button. You can go ahead and hit the notify me bell. Even if you can't make it, just go ahead and do it for us. The Auburn Experience episode 47, folks, with me and Austin Scott will be 9 p.m. Eastern time this Sunday. Want you all there. We'll have a little mini session like this before and after the show, and then you can watch the live recording, and we will probably talk about Fan Day, and there's a lot of different topics that we can hit this week. The problem is finding time to do them all and what to devote the most time to. So I wouldn't miss this one. It's going to be a fun one as we build towards the season. Other things to keep in mind, as some have addressed, we are so close to 4,000 subscribers. Would love for you to help us get there. If you haven't subscribed, you can tell a friend, a legitimate friend, not some fake account that you created. Help us get there. We will do the subscriber giveaway for all eligible people as soon as that is reached. And then if you want to become a channel member, I would highly encourage you to do so. You can hit the link in the description, hit the join bell. There are some requirements there. It is not free. I saw somebody asking about that earlier to be a part of that. So I would just keep that in mind if you're considering joining. But you get access to those icons next to your name, emojis. And there you go. The Booster Club as well, which is not really the Booster Club anymore, but it is the Booster Club for now until we make the official announcement about it. If you are a member of that, check out the Patreon app. There's some updates in there for you that you want to take advantage of if you haven't done so already. Check out all those links in the description. If you're interested in buying from Alumni Hall through our link down there, we're an affiliate of theirs. We'd love for you to support them, which helps support us. I think that's all the things. I got a video coming out tomorrow if we get a commitment or two on Saturday. I hope to have some of those prepped for you so they can come out that day. But with traveling to Auburn potentially for Fan Day this Saturday, they may be delayed to Sunday. But could be a fun day Saturday all the way around. So pay attention. Simply because if I go to Auburn, I'll be sharing some content from there, especially for our Booster Club members. All right. What haven't we hit? Let me go back through here. Stan, I'm in Albertville. So yes, we'll be in Huntsville. There you go. There you go. What else do we want to hit tonight here? Thomas says, I wouldn't mind seeing blue pants at a home game once a year, but it would be with the white helmets. To me, and we discussed this, Clint and I talked about this with the face mask. When should that happen? Like, when should they utilize them again? I think if they're going to keep them in a regular rotation, it needs to be for a specific event every year. What do I mean by that? Obviously, the white face masks look really good with the all white uniforms. So the first SEC road game, we wear the white face mask. Like, that's a cool tradition that the boys can get excited about. We can get excited about. To me, that's how you do it. And don't make it gimmicky. Like, it's a specific thing we do for this specific purpose. We're not going to create a little fake hype about it, but it is what it is. Has Auburn ever played in the Alaskan shootout? I am 99% sure, Corey, that is yes, because I feel like I was listening to some grainy radio station with Rod in the background at about 3 a.m. One time. I think yes, but that was back in Jeff Lebo times, I think. Good question. Good question. That's a Clint Richardson question too. He would know that. You've never watched them play live. I watched WWE events in the Von Braun Center. Reminds me, are we rolling tumors when Darian wins her first championship? When Darian wins her first championship? Oh, are we rolling tumors when Darian wins her first? Am I Darian Goborn? Is that who you're talking about? Who are we talking about? Am I missing something? Do you think Auburn will be in the top 25 at some point? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think they'll crack the top 25. They're too good of a talented team not to do it once a year. I think we were close to doing that until it really started to fall off the rails around Missouri. I think the game before the Penn State game, I think, is what shot Auburn in the foot. Wait a minute. I think we were in the top 25 for like a half a second. Anyway, we'll make the top 25 at some point this year. Paul, thanks for checking in with us. Good to see you. Only thing that will help Cal not get destroyed by us will be jet lag. Halftime will blow the doors open. I hope so, Big Simp. I hope so. Thank you so much for the kind words, Big Simp, and hanging out with us tonight. And she signed with the WWE. I don't understand. Is she actually like wrestling with them, or is she doing something? I've not understand this deal with the WWE. Like, is she legitimately wrestling? Because if she is, that's awesome. You go from being a elegant gymnast to just a wrestler. That's just crazy in my mind. Like, that's a cool Auburn story. So, yes, as we expressed on social media this week, the whole of the Auburn experience is celebrated at Toomer's Corner. That would be a perfect thing to celebrate there. We were ranked 14 at the beginning of the season last year. Thank you. I knew somebody would come up with it. Thank you, Corey. You can always count on somebody here. This is why I love you guys, because y'all are picking up the slack when I'm dropping it. All right. Okay. Here's what I'll say. We are at 9:00. I will keep the show rolling here for a little bit, but it looks like we've got some people that are wrapping up their time too. So why don't we do this? If there's a topic, a comment, or question that you have not wanted to hit, or you've wanted to talk about, or just something you wanted to reiterate, again, get it in now. Would love to hear from you. So don't hesitate. If you want to call in, I would do it immediately. I'm going to shut the phone line down in about like a minute or two. And then we'll start bringing this thing to a close. But I don't want to get away from you guys tonight without hitting the topics that maybe you want to discuss, no matter how obscure, no matter how loosely Auburn related it might be, because this is about you guys and your show and your little family within the Auburn family. As a fellow content creator in a different space says, we create the clubhouse, you guys populate it. We give you the space to create the clubhouse. So this is your gig. As far as I know, she's signed to a performance center contract where they train her to become a wrestler. She's a great performer, so it'll work out. That is absolutely fascinating. If that is actually what's happening, I would love to interview Darian Goborn. Like, I would have loved to have interviewed her regardless, because she was a national champion for us in gymnastics. But the fact that she's going to be a WWE person now, what? Performance contract, that's crazy. That's nuts. It's just interesting enough, like that she was who she already is. But that's pretty wild. The Performance Center is in Orlando. See, I just don't know the ins and outs of all this. I'm not a big WWE fan, but I knew that she was related to them, but I thought it was just some kind of like endorsement deal. Did not see this going there tonight. But that's really cool. All right, let me start tying a bow on things. We have talked a lot about fall practice. We have talked about Jarquez being there, what might be the future for him. We have talked about the quarterback battle, the wide receivers, the defensive backs. We have talked about the recruiting class a little bit. We have talked about basketball updates. We have talked about apparently WWE wrestling and Darian Goborn, and we've talked about Toomer's Corner. We have hit a lot of topics tonight, and I'm sure I forgot some of those things. So what I will say is this. I enjoy this every single week with you guys, because it is an easy thing to show up here just because of the way you guys are interactive and participate. So it's always a joy to do Wednesday night shows with you guys. What time is what time for fan day? If you're talking about this Saturday, 2:30. I believe it is 2:30 to 3:30 Central Time for general public. If you're an On to Victory member or however that works, you get in an hour early. I think they will open the doors at 2:15 for the general public. So they would open the doors at 1:15 for the On to Victory people to get in line. I'm not sure how this is going to work or look this year. I feel like there's going to be a few bumpy road things. People feeling like they're getting cut or stuff like that because they weren't aware On to Victory got in first, but it's the first time they're doing it the old way in quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see. I think those are your times, Stan. Corey, I still think Body will be the guy to watch on running backs this year. He's a lot more physical of a runner than Jarquez from what I've seen. Ooh, I don't know about that. Corey, I don't know if I agree with that, but I love it if it's true. Because it's only going to push Jarquez to be better. It's only going to push Damari to be better. It's only going to push Jeremiah Cobb, Sean Jackson, Justin Jones to be better. Iron sharpen iron. All right, folks, let's wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much for being here. Great crowd tonight. Great calls, great responses, great comments. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. We'll be back again here in a week's time to hang out again. But I hope that we'll see you in the interim in our videos, some coming out tomorrow, on Saturday potentially, but especially next Sunday, this coming Sunday at 9 Eastern time for the Auburn Experience live recording. You guys are awesome. You are the best. And I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to talk to you again very, very soon. So until we talk to you again, War Eagle.